Why do idiots run the world while geniuses serve them? You've seen it. The incompetent boss, the ignorant politician, the fool with followers. And you've asked yourself how. How does stupidity win while intelligence suffers? You think it's luck? It's not. You think it's corruption? It's not. It's psychology, and if you don't understand the mechanism, you'll spend your life being ruled by people dumber than you. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Intelligence is a liability until you learn to weaponize it. Right now, you're using your mind to explain, to justify, to prove yourself. And every time you do, you lose power. Because the game isn't about being right. It's about being obeyed. Idiots understand this instinctively. They don't question. They don't hesitate. They don't need validation. They just move. And movement, even stupid movement, creates dominance. While you're calculating, they're conquering. You've been taught that smart people win. They don't. Smart people comply. They follow rules that were designed to contain them. They wait for permission that never comes. They believe in fairness that doesn't exist. And they die having done nothing but think. Meanwhile, the idiots who never doubted themselves built empires on conviction alone. Not because they were better, because they didn't know they could lose. This isn't motivation. This is dissection. I'm going to show you exactly why your intelligence has kept you powerless. Why your need to be right has made you irrelevant. Why your logic has locked you in a cage of your own making. And then, I'm going to show you how to reverse it. How to stop being the genius who obeys and become the force that commands. No inspiration, no hope, just the mechanism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You think intelligence wins. It doesn't. Stupidity wins because it doesn't hesitate. While you're calculating outcomes, weighing consequences, analyzing variables, the fool has already acted. He doesn't question, he doesn't doubt. His ignorance becomes certainty, and certainty is the only language power understands. You hesitate because you see complexity. He moves because he sees nothing, and the world rewards movement, not thought. Hesitation is the tax intelligence pays for survival. I've watched rooms full of brilliant minds lose to a single idiot with conviction. Why? Because intelligence paralyzes. It shows you 10 paths and asks which is correct. Stupidity sees one path and charges. The crowd doesn't follow logic. It follows momentum. And momentum belongs to those too ignorant to fear failure. You see this in boardrooms, in politics, in relationships. The loudest voice isn't the smartest. It's the one unburdened by self-awareness. Dominance doesn't require understanding. It requires belief without boundary. Stupidity manipulates reality through sheer refusal to acknowledge it. You present facts. The idiot presents emotion. You offer nuance. He offers certainty. Guess which one people crave? Fear drives humanity more than fairness ever will. And stupidity wields fear effortlessly because it doesn't comprehend consequences. You calculate risk. He ignores it. And in that ignorance, he becomes untouchable. Not because he's strong, because he's too stupid to recognize weakness. That's a form of psychological armor you can't penetrate with reason. Look at history. The conquerors weren't philosophers debating ethics. They were brutes with singular vision. Alexander didn't sit around contemplating the morality of empire. He built one. Hitler didn't win through intellectual superiority. He weaponized stupidity into national conviction. I'm not glorifying evil. I'm showing you the mechanism. Power doesn't care about your IQ. It cares about your ability to make others believe without question. And belief is the territory of the simple-minded. They believe harder, because they think less. That's not a flaw. That's evolutionary psychology at work. You want respect? Stop explaining yourself. Explanation is the language of the intelligent and the ignored. The stupid don't explain. They declare. They command. They assert dominance through volume and repetition, not through reason. And crowds obey. Not because the message is true, but because it's delivered without doubt. Doubt is the scent of weakness. You reek of it every time you pause to reconsider. Meanwhile, the idiot barrels forward, accumulating followers who mistake his ignorance for strength. And here's the part that'll disturb you. They're not wrong. In the game of control, conviction beats correctness every single time. But there's something even more dangerous than stupidity with power. You believe intelligence gives you an edge. It doesn't. It gives you a cage. You've been trained to think that logic solves problems, that reason wins arguments, that understanding grants control. None of that is true. The world doesn't run on logic. It runs on instinct, emotion, and manipulation. While you're building airtight arguments, others are pulling strings you can't even see. Intelligence makes you predictable. You follow patterns. You seek consistency. You need things to make sense. And that need is your weakness. The game isn't played with facts. It's played with psychology. Geniuses lose because they operate on a false premise. That truth matters. It doesn't. Not in boardrooms, not in relationships, not in survival. People don't respond to what's correct. They respond to what feels right. And feeling is the domain of instinct, not intellect. You present data, they present stories. You offer solutions, they offer comfort. Guess who wins? I've seen brilliant strategists outmaneuvered by average manipulators simply because the genius thought the rules were rational. They're not. The rules are emotional. And emotion is a weapon you've been taught to suppress. That suppression is why you're losing. Intelligence isolates you because it reveals too much. You see the contradictions in people's behavior. You spot the lies they tell themselves. You recognize the systems designed to keep them obedient. And because you see it, you think you're free. You're not. You're just aware of your chains. Awareness without power is torture. The intelligent suffer more because they understand exactly how they're being used. They see the manipulation, feel the disrespect, recognize the unfairness, and do nothing. Why? Because intelligence convinces you that playing by the rules will eventually work. It won't. The rules weren't made for you. They were made to contain you. Look at corporate environments. Who rises? Not the sharpest mind, the most agreeable one, the one who doesn't threaten the status quo with uncomfortable truths. Intelligence is threatening. It questions authority. It demands fairness. It exposes incompetence, and for that, it gets punished. You've experienced this. You've been passed over, dismissed, undervalued, not because you lacked skill, but because you had too much of it. Dominance in human hierarchies isn't about competence. It's about conformity and charisma. The intelligent conform poorly because they see through the performance, and that makes them dangerous. So they're sidelined, labeled difficult, quietly erased. Meanwhile, mediocrity ascends because it knows how to smile and obey. Your intelligence is a liability until you weaponize it. Right now, it's making you overthink, second-guess, and self-sabotage. You calculate consequences while others act on impulse. You seek approval through correctness, while others seize control through confidence. Here's what you need to understand. Intelligence without ruthlessness is just sophisticated weakness. You can't reason with people who operate on emotion. You can't logic your way into respect. You have to stop playing their game and start playing yours. That means using your understanding not to explain, but to predict. Not to convince, but to control. Not to be right, but to be untouchable. And that requires letting go of something you've held onto your entire life. The belief that being smart is enough. You're addicted to being right. And that addiction is killing your power. Every time you correct someone, every time you prove your point, every time you win an argument, you lose something far more valuable than the debate. You lose respect. Because people don't want to be corrected. They want to be validated. And your need to be right exposes a deeper weakness. You still care what they think. You still need them to acknowledge your intelligence. That need is a leash. And they know it. They feel it. And they exploit it. I've watched geniuses destroy themselves trying to prove they were right. They present evidence. They construct arguments. They dismantle opposing views with surgical precision. And what happens? Nothing. The other person doesn't concede. They dig in deeper. Because you're not in a battle of facts. You're in a battle of ego. And ego doesn't surrender to logic. It surrenders to dominance. When you argue to prove you're right, you're actually begging for approval. You're asking them to validate your intelligence. And that begging, disguised as debate, is the scent of weakness. Power doesn't explain itself. Power simply is. And every time you justify, you dilute it. Being right makes you a target. Think about it. When you prove someone wrong, you don't gain an ally. You create an enemy. You wound their pride, expose their ignorance, threaten their self-image. And humans are wired for survival, not fairness. They don't care about truth. They care about protection. So they'll smile, nod, and quietly resent you. Then, when the moment comes, when you need support, when you're vulnerable, when you expect reciprocity, they'll abandon you because you made them feel small, and people never forgive that. Your correctness bought you nothing but isolation. Meanwhile, the person who was wrong but charming, they're building alliances, they're accumulating power, not through truth, through psychology. The intelligent fall for this trap every single time. They think proving competence earns respect. It doesn't. It earns fear, and fear without dominance is just anxiety. People don't respect you for being right. They tolerate you. There's a difference. Respect comes from boundary enforcement, not intellectual superiority. When you constantly correct, you're not setting boundaries. You're seeking validation through performance. You're dancing for approval. And the moment they sense that need, you become controllable. They'll let you be right. They'll even compliment your intelligence, but they won't give you power, because power goes to those who don't need to prove anything. Here's the shift. Stop trying to be right. Start being unreachable. When someone challenges you with ignorance, don't educate them. Dismiss them. Silence is more powerful than correction. Indifference is more devastating than debate. You think you're winning when you dismantle their argument. You're not. You're feeding their ego by giving them your attention. Real control means not engaging at all. Let them be wrong. Let them spiral in their stupidity. Your energy is finite, and wasting it on proving points to people who don't matter is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. Save your intelligence for strategy, not validation. Because once you stop needing to be right, you become something far more dangerous. Someone who doesn't need anything from anyone. The more you understand, the more you pay. That's the tax nobody warns you about. Intelligence isn't a gift. It's a burden disguised as advantage. You see patterns others miss. You predict outcomes they can't fathom. You speak a language they don't understand. And for that, they punish you. Not openly, not directly, but quietly, systematically, through exclusion. You become the threat they can't articulate, the presence that makes them uncomfortable. You're not disliked because you're wrong. You're disliked because you're right. And being right around mediocrity is the fastest way to become lonely. I've been in rooms where I knew more than everyone combined. And I've learned this: knowledge without concealment is suicide. People tolerate intelligence only when it serves them. The moment your understanding exposes their inadequacy, you become the enemy. They don't attack your ideas, they attack your character. Arrogant, condescending, out of touch. These are the words they use to neutralize threats they can't intellectually defeat. It's not about what you said. It's about how you made them feel. And you made them feel small. That's unforgivable. So they isolate you. They stop inviting you. They dismiss your input. Not because you're incompetent, because you're too competent. And competence without submission is perceived as dominance. They can't have that. This is why genius rarely leads. Leadership requires likability, and likability requires dumbing yourself down. You have to laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Pretend complexity is simple. Validate opinions you know are wrong. That's the price of inclusion. And most intelligent people refuse to pay it. They think their merit will speak for itself. It won't. Merit is invisible to people who don't understand it. They evaluate you on comfort, not capability, on warmth, not wisdom. So they promote the agreeable fool over the brilliant strategist every single time. Because the fool doesn't threaten their ego, he doesn't expose their weakness, he doesn't make them question their place in the hierarchy. And humans crave stability more than they crave truth. Look at history's greatest minds. Newton died alone. Tesla died broke. Van Gogh was dismissed as insane. Why? Because brilliance doesn't fit into social structures built for mediocrity. The system wasn't designed to reward depth. It was designed to reward conformity. And intelligence is inherently non-conforming. It questions, it challenges, it disrupts. That disruption is exactly why you're excluded from circles of power. Not because you're lacking, because you're dangerous. You see through the manipulation, recognize the incompetence, and refuse to play along. That refusal is interpreted as arrogance, and arrogance, in the eyes of the insecure, must be crushed. So they weaponize social rejection. They make you feel isolated until you comply, until you tone yourself down, until you become manageable. Here's the brutal truth. You can't have both. You can't be deeply intelligent and deeply liked. You have to choose. Either you suppress your understanding and gain social approval, or you embrace your capacity and accept the loneliness that comes with it. Most people choose approval. They'd rather be comfortable than correct. They trade their mind for belonging, and that's why they remain powerless. If you're reading this and feeling the weight of isolation, understand, it's not a flaw, it's a filter. The ones who can't handle your depth were never meant to walk beside you. They were meant to be left behind. But leaving them behind requires something most intelligent people lack: the willingness to stop explaining and start commanding. You still believe merit matters, that competence gets rewarded, that the best rise to the top. Let me destroy that illusion right now. Leadership isn't earned through skill. It's seized through performance. The people at the top aren't there because they're the most capable. They're there because they're the most convincing. They mastered the art of appearing competent without actually being competent. And you're still trying to prove yourself through results. That's why you're stuck. Because the game was never about results. It was about perception. And perception is controlled by those who understand psychology, not those who understand their job. Meritocracy is a fairy tale sold to keep you obedient. Work hard and you'll be rewarded. No, you won't. You'll be exploited. The system needs you to believe in fairness, so you keep producing without demanding power. Think about every leader you've ever worked under. How many were genuinely the most qualified? How many earned their position through actual superiority? Almost none. They earned it through politics, charm, and strategic submission to whoever controlled the gate. Real competence is invisible to those who lack it. They can't evaluate what they don't understand. So they promote based on familiarity, comfort, and obedience. The person who makes them feel secure, not the person who delivers results. Security beats competence every single time in human hierarchies. Here's what actually happens. Imposters recognize other imposters, and they protect each other. Because if merit truly mattered, they'd be exposed. So they create systems that reward loyalty over ability. They fill leadership with people who owe them, not people who outshine them. It's not a conspiracy. It's survival instinct. Weak leaders fear strong subordinates. They see competence as a threat, not an asset. So they elevate mediocrity and suppress excellence. You've lived this. You've watched less capable people get promoted while you stayed stagnant. And you told yourself it was timing, luck, politics. It wasn't. It was deliberate. They saw your capability and decided you were too dangerous to empower. Because power in the hands of the competent dismantles the hierarchy of the fraudulent. I learned this the hard way. I spent years believing that excellence would speak for itself, that my work would be undeniable, that eventually fairness would prevail. It never did. Every organization I entered was run by people whose primary skill was appearing necessary. They didn't solve problems. They managed perceptions. They didn't lead. They performed leadership. And the moment I stopped performing and started executing, I became expendable. Not because I failed, because I succeeded without their approval. That independence was intolerable. So they replaced me with someone weaker, someone who needed them, someone who wouldn't expose their incompetence by contrast. That's when I understood. The system doesn't reward the best. It rewards the most dependent. If you want power, stop waiting for it to be given. It won't be. Fair leadership is a myth designed to keep you passive. No one's coming to recognize your genius. No one's going to hand you authority because you deserve it. You have to take it. And taking it means abandoning the belief that the rules apply to you. The people at the top didn't follow the rules. They rewrote them. They didn't earn respect. They commanded it. They didn't prove themselves. They simply acted like they already had power until everyone else believed it. That's the real mechanism of dominance, not merit, not fairness, conviction without hesitation. And once you stop believing in the myth of fair leadership, you can finally see the game for what it is. A battlefield where only the ruthless survive. Complexity is intellectual masturbation. It makes you feel smart while keeping you powerless. You build intricate arguments, layered strategies, nuanced perspectives, and nobody listens. Why? Because complexity doesn't move crowds. It confuses them, and confusion breeds inaction. Meanwhile, the fool with a slogan commands armies. Make America great again. 4 words, no depth, total dominance. You can spend hours explaining policy, economic theory, geopolitical consequences, and lose to someone who just repeats a phrase. That's not stupidity winning. That's psychology. The human brain craves simplicity. It needs clear directives, and power belongs to those who provide them, not those who complicate them. I've watched brilliant minds lose influence because they couldn't simplify their message. They spoke in paragraphs when the world thinks in headlines. They offered solutions when people wanted slogans. You think you're educating. You're actually alienating. Because the moment your idea requires explanation, it's already lost. Dominance doesn't explain. It declares. Just do it. Think different. Because you're worth it. These aren't arguments. They're commands disguised as identity. And they work because they bypass logic entirely. They tap into emotion, ego, and belonging. You can't compete with that using reason. You can't out-explain a slogan. The only way to win is to stop trying to be understood and start trying to be obeyed. This is why demagogues rule and philosophers starve. Demagogues understand that people don't want truth. They want certainty. They don't want complexity. They want clarity, even if that clarity is a lie. You present 50 shades of gray. They present black and white. Guess which one people choose? Fear and hope are simple emotions. You trigger them with simple messages. They're stealing your jobs. We'll make you safe again. No data, no nuance. Pure emotional manipulation through simplicity, and it works every single time. Because the human mind isn't built for complexity, it's built for survival. And survival requires fast decisions, not deep analysis. Simplicity equals speed. Speed equals control. Control equals power. Look at every major movement in history. What did they have? A simple message repeated endlessly. Workers of the world, unite. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Yes, we can. None of these required a philosophy degree to understand. They required nothing but repetition and emotional resonance. That's the formula. Reduce your message to its absolute core. Strip away every qualifier, every nuance, every consideration. What's left should fit on a bumper sticker. If it doesn't, you're still thinking like an intellectual instead of a manipulator. And manipulation, not education, is the language of mass influence. You don't need them to understand you. You need them to follow you. And following requires simplicity, not sophistication. Here's your test. Can you explain your idea to a child? If not, you don't control it. It controls you. Simplicity isn't dumbing down. It's distillation. It's finding the single thread that moves people and pulling it relentlessly. Every word you add dilutes your power. Every caveat weakens your command. The intelligent add, the dominant subtract. They cut until only the weapon remains. Obey, submit, follow. These are words of power, not because they're complex, because they're unavoidable. They don't ask for understanding. They demand compliance. And compliance is what you need if you want to stop being right and start being in control. But simplicity alone isn't enough if you're still making one critical mistake. You think you're reasoning. You're not. You're rationalizing obedience. Every time you justify why you can't act, why you shouldn't speak, why you need to wait, you're not being logical. You're being afraid. And you're dressing that fear in intellectual clothing. I need more information. I should consider all perspectives. It's not the right time. These aren't rational conclusions. They're psychological defense mechanisms. Your intelligence has become a prison, and the bars are made of overthinking. You've convinced yourself that caution is wisdom, It's not. It's cowardice with a PhD. Logic is the favorite weapon of the obedient. They use it to justify inaction, to explain submission, to rationalize powerlessness. It's more logical to wait. It's more reasonable to comply. It's smarter to avoid conflict. No, it's safer. And safe is the language of the controlled. You've been taught that thinking more makes you superior. It doesn't. It makes you paralyzed. While you're analyzing, others are acting. While you're considering consequences, they're creating them. Your logic isn't protecting you, it's neutering you. Because real power doesn't wait for perfect information. It moves with incomplete data and adjusts along the way. That's called dominance. What you're doing is called submission with extra steps. I've done this myself. Spent years being strategic when I was really just being scared. I told myself I was waiting for the right opportunity. I wasn't. I was waiting for permission. Permission from circumstances. Permission from authority. Permission from some imaginary future version of myself who'd be ready. That permission never came, because the world doesn't give you permission to take power. It punishes you for asking. Every delay you rationalize is a choice to remain powerless. Every logical reason to wait is just fear wearing a mask. And the longer you wait, the more you calcify into permanent hesitation. You become the person who always has a reason why not. Never why now. And that person dies, having done nothing. Here's the mechanism. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It will always find logical reasons to avoid risk. That's its job. But survival and power are incompatible goals. Survival keeps you small, hidden, safe. Power requires exposure, risk, and the willingness to lose. Your logic is a survival tool, and you're using it in a game that rewards aggression, not caution. This is why intelligent people rarely win. They outthink themselves into submission. They find 10 reasons something won't work and 0 reasons to try anyway. Meanwhile, the ruthless see 1 reason to move and ignore everything else. That's not stupidity. That's clarity of purpose. They've decided that action beats analysis. And they're right. Because in the real world, the person who moves first controls the frame. The person who hesitates becomes the reaction, not the action. Stop hiding behind logic. It's not serving you. It's serving whoever benefits from your inaction. Every time you delay a hard conversation, you're choosing obedience. Every time you rationalize why you can't set a boundary, you're choosing weakness. Every time you think about it, instead of doing it, you're surrendering power to someone who won't hesitate. Your intelligence was supposed to be a weapon. Instead, you've turned it into a cage. You've locked yourself inside a prison of perpetual consideration. And the key is simple. Stop thinking your way into courage. Act your way into it. Because courage isn't a feeling that arrives before action. It's the consequence of action despite fear. And if you're waiting to feel ready, you've already lost. But there's one final reversal that changes everything. You've been weaponizing your intelligence against yourself. Every insight you've gained, every pattern you've recognized, every truth you've uncovered, you've used it to explain why you can't win. That ends now. The final reversal isn't about gaining more knowledge. It's about refusing to explain what you already know. Power doesn't emerge when the genius learns to think better. It emerges when the genius stops thinking and starts commanding. You've spent your entire life proving you're smart. Now you need to prove nothing. Because the moment you stop seeking validation through explanation is the moment you become dangerous. I'll tell you when I became untouchable. It wasn't when I mastered psychology, strategy, or manipulation. It was when I stopped caring if anyone understood my decisions. I stopped justifying, stopped defending, stopped explaining myself to people whose opinions had zero impact on my trajectory. That silence, that refusal to engage, created something I'd never had before: mystique. People fear what they can't predict, and you become unpredictable the second you stop telegraphing your reasoning. Your intelligence is only visible because you keep showing it. Stop. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them fill the silence with their own assumptions. That uncertainty is psychological control, and control without effort is the highest form of dominance. Here's what changes. You stop trying to convince and start imposing. Someone challenges you. You don't debate, you dismiss. Someone questions your authority. You don't justify, you ignore. Someone demands an explanation. You don't provide one. This isn't arrogance. It's boundary enforcement through indifference. The intelligent believe they owe people understanding. You don't. You owe them nothing. Not your reasoning. Not your rationale. Not your consideration. The only thing you owe the world is your decision. And decisions delivered without justification carry weight that explained decisions never will. Because explanation implies negotiation. And negotiation implies you need their approval. You don't. This is the part that'll disturb most people reading this. You have to become comfortable being misunderstood, maybe even hated. The genius who needs to be liked is still a slave. The genius who accepts being feared is finally free. You can't control how people perceive you, but you can control whether their perception controls you. Right now, it does. You modify your behavior based on imagined judgment. You soften your edges to avoid conflict. You explain yourself into exhaustion, trying to be seen as reasonable. That reasonableness is killing you, because reasonable people don't command respect. They earn toleration, and toleration is just controlled contempt. You don't want to be tolerated, you want to be obeyed. And obedience only comes to those who stop asking for it. The final reversal is this: your intelligence was never the problem. Your need to prove it was. So stop proving. Stop explaining. Stop seeking validation through demonstration of competence. Just decide. Just move. Just command. And when they ask why, say nothing. Let the results speak. Let your actions create the narrative. Let your silence become the answer. Because the person who explains is the person still seeking permission. The person who acts without explanation is the person who never needed it. You've been a genius trying to convince idiots of your value. Now become the genius who doesn't care if they see it. That shift from explanation to execution is where intelligence finally becomes power. And power without apology is the only kind worth having. You now understand the mechanism. Intelligence without ruthlessness is just sophisticated weakness. The idiots rule because they never asked for permission. The geniuses obey because they're still waiting to be chosen. That choice will never come. Power isn't given to those who deserve it. It's taken by those who refuse to explain themselves. You have two options. Keep being right and stay powerless, or stop seeking validation and start commanding. The world doesn't reward your intelligence. It rewards your willingness to move without justification, to impose without explanation, to dominate without apology. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. And clarity is the only language power understands. Stop thinking your way into action. Act your way into power. The moment you stop explaining is the moment you become untouchable. The moment you stop seeking respect is the moment you command it. This isn't theory. This is the blueprint. and you already know it's true. You've lived the cost of being too smart and too compliant. Watch the next video. They only respect you when you do this. Machiavelli. You'll need it. Write in the comments, I stop explaining. The reversal has begun.